Hey guys, what's going on? It's Alexander Williamson here, and I have a secret, not history, but a secret tip living in your aquarium. Could be your aquarium. I happen to get a killer deal on these, and you can too. Now, I got a 6-gallon. They have 17-gallon, I think, as well as an 11. And then they also have a 2.5, a 3, and a 1 in the cube form. Not only are they doing this, but until Halloween, if you know where to go, you can also get the rectangular forms. So we're going to be talking about mini aquariums real quick, because before I tell you where to get it, I want to show you a couple pictures of what's possible, and also show you some of the fish that you might want to put in there, because you need to have the right fish to put in there. You don't want to buy the tank and then have a totally, wrong situation going on for the fish. So, first of all, I want to show you this. It's simple. It's a pump. It's a pump that plugs in, and you get this out of about a $12 little filter, in which you would get mostly for a shrimp tank. For a small tank like this little 2.5, you would usually put it on there, and it has a shrimp safety catch. You can get it at any of the big box stores, PetSmart, Petco, whatever. But you pull it out of the bottom of the filter, and this is the impeller / pump. So you can then retool with this fixture here. You can put whatever hoses you want, and you can create a fountain, a waterfall, and I just want you to keep that in mind, because it's only like 12 bucks, and then you can have things above the water, which is what I am going to do with this beautiful tank. Now, this tank also, surprisingly, I was really surprised by this, it comes with this overhead light. Now, Aquarium, usually they're known as the company that you get your dollar per gallon sale tanks from. But they're stepping it up. This comes with a little foam pad, because rimless tanks need that, especially when they have no frame on the bottom. But some of the rectangular tanks do have rims on the bottom. In fact, this place that's selling these actually has tanks that have LEDs built into the frame, so that it shines up and the edges glow and turn color. See how this green is glowing? That actually glows all the different colors of the rainbow. So, pretty crazy. But you could use something like this and not have a filter, just have some moving water. Or you could use something like one of these small size, this one's from Aquarium Co-op, but you could get sponge filters wherever. Small size filters, so you could use sponge, or you could just have moving water, or you could not have one if you're going to have killifish, Medaka rice fish, shrimp, anything like that. So let's show you something real quick here. Alright, so here is a case where we don't need any moving water whatsoever. These fish do fine as long as your room is around 70 degrees, 68 degrees. You could have clown killies and shrimp living just fine. Give them some leaves, some rocks, some moss. You don't even need to feed them much. We've got some least killifish too, which are a North American native. I happen to get most of my fish from aquaticarts.com. You guys can check them out. They've got rare and oddball fish. They've got gobies, stiphodons, all sorts of oddball critters that maybe you're not used to seeing, at a great price and overnight shipped. Plus, they try to source breeding in the USA when they can, and all sorts of good practices that I believe in from A to B to C to consumer, all the way through the production line where things are sourced. We're getting foggy. I'm so excited. Let's defog this lens and take a look at a couple layouts of these awesome little cube tanks, including the winner of our most recent Aquascaping challenge, who did a layout in one of these little cube tanks. By the way, these little African ember barbs, they're a awesome fish that can live in a very small tank, 2-3 gallons, no problem. You could put 3 or 4 easily, probably even 6 if you lay it out right. But perfect for a little shrimp tank like we're doing here or here. Let's get this defogged. I'm getting so excited, we're getting steamed up. All right, guys, so this was our buddy Hector who entered our Aquascaping Contest. Now, up at the top there, in the top left, you can see that moss. Well, it has to say wet to be in a little cube tank or a bowl tank like this. And so what he did was he took one of those little pumps and he ran a little line in, and it kept it wet and it kept the humidity up. That's also how you could grow or spawn sparkling gouramis and bettas a little easier. They like the humidity. Now, we're not going to spend forever on this, but I just wanted to show you this is the same tank. So there up above on the left, you can see his photo of it is really cool. And down below also, it was a pretty neat tank as well. So that was fun looking at it down below like this as well. So, and looking down from above, that you can see how all of that carpeted over rock. And you can use artificial things, you can use fishing lure, line, all that stuff. I'm going to tell you in a moment, right after we get through these little slides. This is my old workplace. This is Aquarium Zen. Look at that cube there. I think that one's maybe a 25-gallon in the center there. And it's got all sorts of pothos running up to the ceiling. All around it's rimless. So I just love the rimless aesthetic. If you've never had them before, this is the sale and opportunity to really get in there and try it. I mean, you can do all sorts of things like mangrove, monstera, pothos, whatever it is that you're into, from $500 plants to plants in the neighborhood. And if you live in Florida, man, you got a lot of choices. But this tank, another one at Aquarium Zen, just really cool. Here you can see a pro-level aquascaper, what they would do in one of these nano cubes. I mean, that's just moss and rock. That's it. No water in there yet. And you can do these little dioramas. You can buy the preformed pieces of wood and then break off the little twigs in there and then use whatever plant your heart desires. And right there you can see the little filter I'm talking about. You can pull a pump right out of the bottom of most of those filters. They're designed to be disassembled so you can clean them. It is way cheaper than buying a pump at an aquarium store. Likewise, use an old yoga mat, or even sometimes you can use cardboard if it's not a big rimless tank, because they need their weight distributed a little more evenly and it helps level the tank. But these come with a mat. You don't even need to go out and buy one or anything. Again, a really cool mangrove tree just in a little teeny one. You could put some sort of crabs in there. You could do brackish water with some, mollies, or some sort of little killifish, or marsh killie, banded killie, some native North American fish. Be really cool to have in there. Then here you get down to like more Dutch aquascaping with the Pogo Hellfry, and probably running CO2. I don't know for sure, with the Sirius stone that the contrast is bumped up on their photo. And the super red mini Ludwigia in there. With the Nubius and Mattengrossen and some Bacopa. That's a teeny tiny little tank, and it looks killer. So I think there are so many opportunities. Here's another tank from somebody who submitted an immersed tank a few years ago when it wasn't even an immersed contest. But I wish it was, because they would have knocked it out of the park. You got crypts and low light plants. You got glossostigma or Monte Carlo there down at the bottom that doesn't need to have high light to carpet. But if you put it in a window or something and you know how to manage algae, you can totally do that. Set it up in the window and let the immersed plants, or those plants hanging out of the top, let them suck up all the nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, get all that stuff out of there, and you can have a beautiful tank. Again, another really teeny tank. I think that's a little tight for those. I mean, I think whatever this is, a 5-gallon for those, I think that's a little rough for those tetras, but I mean, it does look beautiful. It's up to you in the end. And I mean, a very attainable tank here. Again, this one, I'm guessing this didn't have CO2 because the carpeting isn't complete, but you can see they used some sort of maybe baby tears or dwarf baby tears, and you can always use the pile of rocks and sticks and then put Java fern and Nubius and Boos around it. Always looks beautiful. Here we've got another mountainscape tank. I mean, the options are just really endless with what you can do. That's kind of in the same vein of that one. But again, just use those little pumps. Super easy, super chill. All right, guys, where did I get the tank? Well, I got it at Petco, dollar per gallon sale. You might have to ask. They seem to kind of hide these tanks away from the others. For a 2.5 gallon rimless, look at this, with a light, which I don't usually want the filter they have. I want to do maybe a sponge filter. Maybe I want to do some other filter. Maybe I just want to use it as a breeder tank because it's so freaking cheap. Look at that. I mean, how could you want anything different for that price? I mean, $15.99 for a 5 gallon. Their sale doesn't even go that low when it's a dollar per gallon for the 5 gallon. It still stays up above the other prices. And here we go. We got a 10 gallon for $19.99 for the rimless. It's got a little bit of a base on these ones, and it also has a lid that comes that's glass with a little tab. I don't know how I feel about that necessarily, but I mean, it's still really cool that this is out there. You know, and in here, if we go to aquariums, tanks, bowls, you can definitely see that the cube tanks, I mean, they're just incredible, some of these, and these ones aren't on sale. These are the normal price ones for 3.7 gallons, normally $79.99. So that's why I'm so excited about these prices. I mean, look at on here when I just pull up some of these random aquariums. I mean, for this one, it's a 17 gallon that's on the upper end. $149.99, no light, just whatever. Now, the light that it comes with, not the best light in the world. And like this one here comes with a little pump, like that pump I was talking about, which would cost you, say, 12 bucks. And this tank, 20 gallons, so that would be the top of the line. That would be only 40 bucks right now. So it's just bonkers to me, that sale that they're having. When you look at, I mean, some of these cubes that are, granted, they are very nice. If you're into interior design and modern design, ADA, UNS, some of these other brands, they do offer very clean edges, different variations in glass. But the low iron rimless Aquarium has stepped up their game, and they want to be a contender, I tell you. So let's go to the cubes finally, and I'll show you what I got and what I'd be looking at. I mean, it's just insane, though, as far as the options that they have right now. You can also pick them up online and order them. So that's another great thing about it. You can just pull up and get them. Some places they even deliver them. Here we go. So these are some of the edge-lit cubes. These ones cost a little bit more, but normally 60 bucks, only 30 bucks. And they've got it down to $19.99. Yeah, you could keep a betta in there, but you see what I was talking about? They have this kind of lit thing. If you're into the flashy, stuff, then maybe that one is what you need. Maybe. All right, guys. So this is the one, the glory, the pride of their fleet. Only $17.99. That's just a 1 gallon. You can take this glass off, no problem, and then you can get a lovely plant sticking out of it, suck up a ton of nitrates, keep that water really clean when normally it might be tricky. You could do something gaudy like this. I mean, they're insinuating salt water, but only 22 bucks with the light and everything. Like I said, you could step up the light or keep it by a window, or like this, you could use crypts, you could use Anubias, Valsinaria, moss, hornwort, kabamba, bacopa, any of that stuff. I've got videos on what low light plants you could use, and they would be just fine in there. Some of them don't even need aqua soil, and you would barely need to dose a 6-gallon tank like this. Only 32 bucks though, and it may be cheaper in some states. Sales tax here is 10 bucks. So, 10%, almost 11 in most cases. And 14-gallon cube, that's a good size cube. I mean,
yeah, it's good size. Only 42 bucks, and it comes again with a light, with the beveled edges, no bottom rim at all, like some of the faux rimless ones. And then it's also made of very clear glass that the top piece doesn't seem to be made out of, but the bottom seems to be that low iron, higher end glass that you get with these. And there's that mat below it, and then the lid there, and then of course, the light. So what a killer deal. Petco until October 31st. Go check it out.
All right, so we're going to look at a couple tanks right here. You see we got little Stiphodons in here, pencil fish, tetras. You guys know that's stuff that people usually keep in these smaller size tanks. In fact, I've got some Danios waiting to go in too. Over here, same thing, we got a rimless tank. This is an expensive tank. This tank, $600 tank. The light, $400, and I mean, right now it's chock to the brim. It's seen prettier days. Check out my Instagram if you want. But right now I'm about to trim all these plants and bring them to FISH-TOBERFEST. So if you're going to FISH-TOBERFEST down in Portland, the year 2021, you should definitely hit me up if you need some plants, some rare plants. I'll be bringing a bunch down. Be down there Friday night through Sunday, and I'll be speaking Sunday at FISH-TOBERFEST with a bunch of other great speakers, literally coming up in just a few days. This coming Sunday, today's Thursday, you do the math. So that will be October 10th. Now, bettas, great fish. Not this gourami, too big, but if you get the little ones, the sparkling gouramis, they're great for these kinds of tanks. And they can take even room temperature at night in your house. If you live in Seattle, so 65 degrees or so, they'll probably be fine in a tank like that. Give them some cover like this, and it'll keep the heat in better. Give them some little lilies, and you can get crazy with what you want to do, but you can build above it too to keep it aerated without even having a filter, just by having that pump. Now, male endlers, they're another great choice. They come in all sorts of varieties. These little endlers, natural colored ones, happen to be much more hardy and fun, outgoing than some of the fancy guppies and things. But the males alone, otherwise you're going to overpopulate your tank real fast. Now, like I said, Stiphodons, there's over 32 species. They're these awesome little critters that eat algae. They eat algae and biofilm. You need a bit of an established tank, so you want to set that up early and ahead of time, get it going, let it run, maybe use some old filter media or plants or moss that have been in another tank, and you can really get some fun little looks when you get 3 of them in a tank or so. And there are every color of the rainbow possible, just like there are with Neocaridina shrimp. You saw the yellow ones before, but the red ones, they're always a lot of fun. These guys are really cool to watch. They'll spawn and breed for you in your aquarium, even in a little one. Now, another thing you can do here is you can take moss and just use fishing wire, wrap it around the intake of a filter, and then I could run this pump back down through this. So this would be the outlet. So it would look completely natural. You could hide that in a stick or in some leaves of a plant that's growing immersed, and you wouldn't even know it's a fountain. I mean, it would just naturally circulate on its own, which I think is awesome. All these fish up here, these are great fish for your aquarium if you can't have good filtration on it and it's small. You got white cloud minnows, meteor minnows, gold white cloud minnows, scarlet batis. There's a number of batis you could keep. There's a number of shrimp you could keep, ram's horn snails, and of course you could keep a selection of beautiful bettas. We've got a nice selection here of bettas. We've got one more little male endler hanging out in there, but right in here you can see we've got betta splendens hanging out, and you could do even a little colony depending on what size you get. Check out my video on what nano fish are best for which tanks, and that'll help you decide what can go where or what can live in a 2-gallon or 1-gallon aquarium. But
But here you could get these beautiful Medaka rice fish. They glow. They have babies every day or two, and they have eggs that they carry on the outside, and then they stick to wood or plants. And I mean, they're just a really peaceful, neat fish to watch, designed to watch from above. So that little cube you could put in a bathroom or the kitchen or something, and it would be totally at home. You know, they're great that way. Now, if you're moving up bigger fish and things like that, you could put little pea puffers in there if you had good filtration and water changes. You could put these guys, paradise fish. These are albino paradise fish. You could go with any sort of cherry barb, gold barb, rosy barb. These are rosy barbs. I mean, your options are nearly, they're not endless, but there are over 100 fish you could easily put in there. Some elosoma, you could get even some little cichlids, some nanocaras like these guys, and toss them in. If you have a cave set up and say you got that 14-gallon, that's more than enough for them. So lots of fun stuff. Goodeids, other live bears. I mean, seriously, you guys, use your creativity. Even apistos could fit in the tanks that are over 10 gallons. Not to mention the wild betta species, betta imbelis, and you know, all the interesting little ones, all the interesting exotic snails, red racer snails, the other interesting live bears, the lamea or the teddy bears or the carplets. I'm gonna stop now because honestly, I'm just a little bit excited. So go get that price. You got the rest of the month essentially to get it, and let me know what you do. I'd love to see pictures. Okay, over and out. Silly hat popping up. I hope you guys have a great one, and hit that like button if this is going to save you some money. You're going to enjoy yourself, and I hope I see you at Aquashella if you're in the Pacific Northwest. It's free. It's Sunday. 5 great speakers, including myself, and tons of good booths from local vendors with rare fish, interesting fish, stuff you won't find in the stores, and the cool merch from YouTubers like Lucas Bretz and Dan's Fish Room, Haley at Oddball Aquatics. I mean, sky's the limit. I'm going to hit the dentist, and then I'm going to hit the road. So I will talk to you guys later. I had a crown pop off. But like I said, please like, subscribe. Those things are easy to forget, but they mean a lot to me, and so does leaving a comment. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.